Hello everybody, and welcome to Silver Nash Workshop. Today, what I want to talk to you about is the 5 things that I wish I knew before I started a workshop and started my own business. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Nate.
And I'm Emily.
And this is our dog Nash.
Together we started our own business called the Silver Nash Workshop. We build custom ordered wood projects for customers all over the U.S.
I build the projects.
And I build the business.
Follow us on our journey of starting our business while working full-time jobs.
And being in law school.
So my number one biggest obstacle that I run into while having a shop and having a business is time. It's like I never have enough time for anything. I still work a full-time job. I work in the dairy industry, so for those of you who don't know anything about the dairy industry, it's a 24/7, 365-day job. I'm always on call. I'm always having to deal with something or producers or something like that. So between the hours of 6 and 8, I generally get about 2 hours of work in the morning before I start my full-time job. And then I generally get after dinner between 6 to 9 to 10, depending on how the day goes, what Emily is doing for school, things of that nature. Tonight, she's actually got class till about 9 o'clock, so that gives me a good 3 hours here in the wood shop before I have to go inside and just enjoy life. So my number one concern, or my biggest obstacle, I guess, in this shop is time. While we're on the topic of time runs everything. Time is money, really, in this shop. I've gotten a lot of things done. I found different ways to do things a lot quicker, which then, helps me in the long run. But also, it seems like I'm always doing larger projects, smaller projects, things like that. And with time-wise, you've got 4 or 5 different projects happening. Tomorrow I've got a farmer's market that I want to go to. I've got to get 4 or 5 different items and multiple things of those items ready for that shop or that farmer's market. But then I've got, let's see, I've got a dresser behind the camera here that I'm working on for a customer that's honestly given me the quote or given me the project about 2 months ago. So, time is a lot of my concern, a lot of my obstacles that I face here in the shop. So if anyone can figure out how to slow down time or put more hours into the day, I greatly appreciate it. My number 2 thing that I wish I knew before I started the shop was pricing. Pricing is an animal when it comes to all kinds of stuff. Charge too little, it's not even worth opening the doors to do the shop or your time. Price too high, no one's going to want to buy your product. So there's that fine line of, how do you figure in your price? What do you do? I'll be honest, when I started, man, I was all over the board. I was way underpricing myself, where in fact, I was actually losing money. Emily and I had to sit down and just have a talk and say, hey, this is where we're at. She's very good with the accounting and, making documents and files that I can understand when it comes to that stuff. And, it was at that point we were losing money. So she and I kind of looked at different ways. We found a system online that we really like. It's made by some other fellow YouTubers. It's a guy and a female that they had just kind of started out doing the same thing. But we charge usually, the cost for material, the labor, which I'm charging now about 25 bucks an hour. When I first started, it was around 10 to 15, not even minimum wage in some states. I enjoyed what I did, so I didn't really figure that in, 10, 15 bucks is what I like to do. So that was, we had to have a sit down and figure out what my cost was. And you should do that too, because at the end of the day, you're going to think that you're only, putting this much money into material and this much into labor. You're going to be badly mistaken when it comes down to it, because you're going to put way more than what you actually think into it. So that's why my number 2 is pricing. Find something that fits your model. Find something that fits your shop and go with it. People are gonna buy your stuff. If they don't, you can discount it, look for different things. I like to get a lot of my pricing off of Etsy. What I do is, if I find something that I want to build, I look on Etsy, say, okay, this is what people are charging online. Maybe go to Marketplace on Facebook, see what they're charging there, and just kind of go from there. If I can't do it in that, if I can't make that product for, let's say, $100 with everything in there, then I won't do it. So just take a good look at your cost that you're putting into your materials, your labor, and actually see what you're actually selling the products for. Just like I said, I think you're going to be really surprised at where you're actually at and how much you're actually making. Because once you start looking at material, especially 6 months ago when wood prices were $13 for a 2x4 here in Michigan, it's really hard to make that profit that you may think you deserve for being in the shop for 5 hours a day trying to get this done between a full-time job and everything else. My third thing that I wish I knew before I started a shop was quality, not quantity. I think a lot of people get into this problem when they start out. You want to be able to mass produce things. You want to be able to get things out. Cutting boards, coasters, birdhouses. All that stuff. Yes, you can just crank those babies out as fast as you can. But at the end of the day, A, you got to have a market for what you're actually selling. And B, are they really that good of quality? I've had multiple projects going on at one time. When I first started off, I had 4 or 5 different projects really. And I did a project. I took it up north to the customer, and on my way there, we stopped at Emily's grandfather's place. And I remember him, I showed him, and he looked at it, and he saw a defect. Something that, I overlooked, something that I shouldn't have overlooked, something that, looking at it is super obvious. And this isn't just something that a woodworker is going to see or anything like this. This is something very obvious that a customer could see and pick out. From that moment on, it was almost like an epiphany for me. It was almost like, hey, I have to actually take the time, and this customer is paying me for this project, and I don't want to do a poor job at delivering that product or that insight to them. So it doesn't matter how long it takes to do that. I'm going to get that so it's quality. It's a quality project for what that customer is paying. I think that was my biggest lesson as far as my work. You get a lot of comments. Yeah, the work is really nice. But I can take a lot of this stuff up to the farmers market and actually, and guys are going to pick out stuff. There's other guys that are doing the same field as what you are. What sets your product apart than, let's say, some of theirs? They may be doing a better job at quality than what you are. They may have 4 or 5 projects where you have 20 projects up there. Is it better? It may be. Like I said, my biggest thing was looking at quality over quantity. And I still find myself getting into some trouble with that. It's a hard habit to get into, especially, you start doing some cutting boards, you start doing some coasters. They're fun, they're easy, they're creative. You want to see what you can and can't make. And in reality, take your time. This is your business. This is something you're growing. You don't have to make, $100K your first year or even $20,000 your first year. This is something that, you just got to keep learning as you go. So with that, move on to number 4. So number 4 of things I wish I knew when I first started out. Know your customers. This was a really, really hard lesson for me when I first started out, to tell you the truth. When I first started out, I built something that probably wasn't the smartest thing that I ever built. I didn't take the time to look at my area and see what was there, what people really wanted. I just went full tilt, built 3 great big cat houses / litter boxes that didn't sell. And I mean, we put them on expecting, hey, we're gonna get some bites here and there, and there was nothing. It was depressing because I put in the work. I put in the work to make those perfect. I put in the work knowing this is what's gonna jumpstart my business. In reality, it really didn't. All because I didn't take the time to see, what my customers really wanted. After a while, though, I will say those picked up, and I actually had to pull those off of Facebook Marketplace because I was getting too many orders. So that was kind of cool. That was a good full around circle to come back to on that. But like I said, know your customers. I don't really make anything real big anymore unless they have an order for it. I don't make a dresser. I don't make cat houses, nightstands. I don't do any of that stuff unless someone is gonna order it. There's a lot of material that goes into something like that. That's a lot of material to sit on, especially for a business that's just starting up. That you may necessarily have to wait until you sell that to get that money in return, plus whatever profit that you got, even if you get a profit. I also had a thing where I thought all customers wanted to buy my product. I know starting out that's not necessarily how you should think, but you can't go and think, oh, someone's gonna pay $50 for a bottle opener with exotic hardwood, that's zebra wood and bloodwood and all this stuff. No one's gonna buy that. It's on Etsy and people probably do buy it, but my market around my area, I can't take that anywhere and sell something like that. No one's gonna buy it. So you have to figure out your market. Are you gonna sell online? Are you gonna sell on Facebook Marketplace? There's Etsy. There's all kinds of things that you can actually get on. I don't really do the Etsy thing too much. I have enough sales between here and there, or between Marketplace and farmers markets and Facebook and all kinds of stuff. But it works for some people. Or are you going to primarily go to farmers markets or craft shows or something along those lines? If you're going to that's a completely different market, what people are looking for. Most of those guys are carrying cash at those. They're not carrying anything more than $50 maybe. So you got to maybe try to find something in your price range that, hey, I can take it up there, sell it for less than $50 and still make a profit. So know your market, know what you're going to make, what they want. And try to keep it as cheap as possible as far as making it. Cheap and quality is really the key to success. Number 5 of the things that I wish I knew before I started a wood shop. You don't need the fancy tools. I understand it's nice to come into a shop and see SawStop or Festool or any of those fancy things that, they probably make your life a heck of a lot easier. It's nice to have fingers, I guess. But, if you're just starting out and you're trying to make it go at starting your own wood shop, you don't need anything really that fancy or, that expensive, to say the least. All my stuff here in the shop, I'm looking around, most of the stuff is hand-me-down stuff, which I'm completely fine with. I know how to work those tools. Would it be nice to have, a brand new router table that's not, 50 years old, that's put together from your grandpa, in the 70s? Would it be nice to have a nice miter saw, 12-inch with all the bells and whistles and all that? Yeah, everyone wants something like that. But at the end of the day, you don't need it. Like I said, a lot of my tools came from my grandfather and Emily's grandfather. Really, probably 3/4 of my tools that I have, they provided me with those items. And I'm so thankful for them because, you know, if I didn't have those guys in my life, I wouldn't have been able to, you know, do what I'm doing now. Something that, you know, starting my own business and doing something that I love to get up and do. And I'm making everything work. Like I said, it's perfect for me, it's perfect for my shop. Don't go and blow your profits and, you know, things like that on buying the best equipment just so you can keep up with people on the internet or YouTube or anything like that. Like I said, yes, it would be nice, but at the end of the day, I'm all about, you know, keeping costs low so I can enjoy myself and enjoy life outside of the shop. Next. No. Oh. Here's a bonus clip. Number 6. Always have a pet in your shop. This is Nash. You guys have seen him before. He's a silver lab. He's the one where we get our name from. This is his favorite place other than the couch. Is coming out here with Dad, licking Dad, finding wood to chew on, run around the shop like a crazy dog, find my saw push sticks and everything else. So lesson number 6 or number 6, find yourself a good shop dog.